But we've got a Council of Peaks, PEAKS, which represents what, 70 top Aboriginal organisations, and it claims to be in a formal partnership with Australian governments. So how can you say Aboriginal people don't have a voice? As I said, the last two ministers for Indigenous Affairs, Ken Wyatt and Linda Burney, are both Aboriginal Australians, and you've got the Council of Peaks.
And this is a very fair point. Indigenous people are absolutely consulted. In fact, if you go out into remote Australia, the consultation almost never comes to a conclusion, and that's part of the problem. Our difficulty is not lack of consultation with Indigenous people. In the end, our difficulty is that too often Indigenous matters are judged by different standards than those that apply everywhere else. The tyranny of low expectations, as Noel Pearson puts it, and really, doesn't matter where you are in Australia, the kids must go to school, the adults should go to work, and the ordinary law of the land should apply. Unfortunately, too often, that's not the case because of culture, in inverted commas, and frankly, we cannot apply different and lesser standards to Indigenous people and Indigenous circumstances than are expected of the wider Australian community.
But isn't you're quite right. You're quite right, and you speak with such clarity. But isn't there a wider issue here, which suggests to me that people in their ivory towers in Canberra don't seem to understand the Indigenous community? I mean, there isn't one Aboriginal group in Australia. There are hundreds. I mean, each has their own country, their own language, their own kinship system, and their own culture. So, I mean, quoting Warren Mundine again, he says a national body can't speak for Aboriginal people as a group, and Aboriginal people won't recognise it. They're valid sentiments, aren't they?
I think that's a fair point. And look, this entity is about speaking to a green left perspective as much as it is speaking to Indigenous Australians. And all of us want to do the right thing by Indigenous people. All of us do. And I'm more than happy to see Indigenous people recognised in the Constitution. It's just that it's got to be the right recognition, not the wrong recognition. And one of the problems, Alan, is that in the 15 years since both sides of politics committed to some form of Indigenous constitutional recognition, this debate has gone way beyond recognition itself. And it's now about transforming not just Indigenous governance, but national governance. And I think we've gone several steps too far.
Yeah, I mean